wonder if you're feeling it too, like I do. You know my mind is in a haze. It's all because of you, my darling. Surely as the day is long, there's no way this love could ever be wrong. Growing strong.
All right, folks. Rolling Bubba Grimes here. Rolling Bubba Grimes here doing a special edition of the Rolling Grimes Show live. I'm triple dutying, so if I end up turning my head away from you all, please forgive me. I'm just trying to get it all tight for you. I'm going to fire up my Facebook Live, but in the meantime, this is what's happening. Rolling Bubba Grimes special edition, and to my co-host, Coach Tanya, and my main man Frank James. This was impromptu, so you didn't hear from me on it because I didn't know we was going to do it until the day got started. But of course, if you're available, give us a call, 240-455-5934, 240-455-5934. You were just listening to the music of one of my esteemed colleagues, Mr. Michael Muse. You get a chance, you go online, Google his name, and get some of that beautiful balladeer with a little DC swang in it. Comes from my man, none other than Mr. Michael Muse. I want to let you all know that I have the esteemed privilege and honor right now of inviting a young brother to our set who just happens to be from another city. Man, I get a thrill every time I get to bring somebody in that's from another city because it means that something that we're doing is getting out there. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to some and introduce to others my new brother in the struggle to get information out, Mr. Ralph Crowder. How are you, sir?
Peace, my brother. Peace to the whole E-Life media. You guys are doing some nation-building things over here, so salute to independent black media serving the people, no doubt.
Much appreciated. Let's start right there. Independent black media, man. What does that mean to you, brother?
Well, independent means that we are funding and telling our story without any interruptions from other resources to tell our story or frame our stories for us. I mean, communication is very important, brother, and it's essential, especially in this media landscape we're in right now. To have that independent voice dealing with our issues that are close to our issues is really connected to our survival as a people at this point. We've been inundated with all kinds of imagery that we don't control, own, or produce. So independent media right now is a part of the very fabric that's going to keep us connected as a people.
Man, that's powerful. Let me give you a few quick self-disclosures.
Okay.
First off, I had the opportunity to earn a dual degree in counselor education. Real cool, okay? But I happened to do it at an institution that is well-renowned for media and communications, Syracuse University, which, as you all Google it, it has the #1 communication school essentially in the world. So when we talk about names like Mike Tirico, Bob Costas, Tay Diggs, Vanessa Williams, Dick Clark, Michael Jordan's agent David Falk, they all were trained under the Syracuse University paradigm.
Including that basketball team from some years to some years.
Basketball team is tough from years to years.
Yeah. Some years are spotty, but you know what I'm saying? They had some ballers up there too, though.
I much appreciate it. Again, they've had, and we're all going to be getting together, as you mentioned that, folks, in 2 months, the Coming Back Together reunion takes place at Syracuse, where the African American and Hispanic alums come together, and I've been invited to sit on the Athletes Roundtable panel, which in the past has included such dignitaries as John Mackey, Dave Bing, Floyd Little, Jim Brown, Eton Thomas, Derek Coleman, Billy Owens, Pearl Washington.
You kind of flagging up on me now. Let me just say I went to Virginia Union.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
So you're a Panther.
Yeah. So,
And I have an affection for Virginia Union because that was one of the first places I went to watch a college game. The Patterson brothers out of Anacostia, Kevin Patterson, Herc Patterson, and Virginia Union during that era offered a lot of brothers from the inner city of Syracuse an opportunity to play ball.
Yeah.
And this was late 70s.
Okay.
And I had a chance to go to that campus a couple of times, man, and meet some of the finest sisters and some of the most electric brothers in the world. I was actually ended up being recruited there at that time to play ball when I finished here. But I decided to take my act north and do it in Syracuse. God decided to move me in that direction for his reason only.
That's right.
You know, so on that basis, independent black media. So here we go. Independence, as you gave us the definition, means that we control our content, number one, correct?
Yes.
All right. Number two.
We fund.
We fund it.
Yes.
Right.
Very important.
Okay, let's go back to that. Explain what that means when you say we fund it.
Well, I mean, as we're sitting right here, this is a place of commerce. You know what I'm saying? You have money exchanged in this independently black-owned, not only restaurant, but if I'm not mistaken, the greater portion of this strip mall area is owned by black folks, correct?
It was. I believe that it was recently sold to the county, but as you said, for at least a number of years, most of the commerce that took place here was under the auspices of some African American folks, black folks.
So land is very important in terms of being independent, and you know when we're able to take that kind of into account, we're able to really speak as we need to speak. When you need to kind of think about that money that might be behind your shoulder, that's directing your tongue to different conversations that maybe aren't uniquely yours. You know what I'm saying? In terms of the direction of the conversation, when you're accountable to yourself, it's totally different than being accountable to other things.
Well, you went there, so I'm gonna go there with you. You know, Brother Ralph, many times, both in my household and beyond, I've said that it's a whole lot better for us to own 100% or less than to keep renting ourselves for 2% of a whole lot.
Yep.
So when we were doing some things in the past, we wanted to create our own professional football league.
Yes.
You know, we didn't want to wait for that. You know, we wanted to create our own. And because of some, not necessarily lack of executive management skills, but lack of executive management practice, it's very difficult to get on. It was very difficult to spend 12 hours a day on an assembly line and then turn around and spend 2 hours a day working on this mission, when you really need to spend more than 2 hours a day on that mission, and then try to figure out how to deal with the children, and then the wife, and then the community.
Yeah, that's a hard walk, isn't it? But it's necessary.
I understand. Okay, so having said that, it being necessary, then in moving in that direction now, as is necessary, you said land. Let's start there. God ain't gonna make no more land, all right? So land. Other components in the independent structure of whatever we do. You mentioned land. You mentioned commerce. What other elements off the top of your head are included in the establishment of independence and economic sovereignty?
Well, we have to learn how to exercise our skills, gifts, and talents.
So utilization of our own skills, gifts, and talents.
Yeah, but that's a process even to getting to that place. Okay. Because you almost have to remove yourself from
the establishments,
being owned by other bodies, you understand, by other institutions, and actually move to a place to explore freedom of self. And that's not only a physical place, that's a psychological place, there's a spiritual place, there's a lot of different elements of that. But once you take that journey, then you understand and become more in tune with your skills, gifts, and talents, because we're all blessed with something. We all have a mission and a path that we've been positioned to be in. Some of us answer those callings, some of us don't. But when we do answer that calling, you know what I'm saying, that creates the challenge now. Because freedom, the path to freedom, brother, is not.
Freedom isn't free.
Yeah, it's not free.
Freedom ain't free.
And sometimes it's not comfortable. Many times it's not.
No, it's never comfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I think there's a resting place after the work is done
Okay.
that represents.
It's just like war.
There
There's
you go.
R&R time.
There you go.
There's rest and recovery.
Yeah.
I did something this weekend.
Yeah, 'cause
I want to thank her for it. Right?
There you go.
So there's rest and recovery time,
Yeah.
and then as soon as that's done,
Yeah,
you're back on the plow.
because the journey is blessed.
Okay.
But you just got to know and be in tune with what the blessings are.
Gotcha.
So you have to be able to see the blessings, and that's a process too. That's a part of
Because
that.
how do you
freedom
become
factor.
aware that it's
Yeah.
even there?
There you go.
Now, on that basis, I want to tell everyone who's tuning in, if you are able to go to voxwave.net, that's VOXWAV.net, voxwave.net. You can also see this live, but you can also click a button and you can donate to independent black media at eLife Media for $10, $25, whatever you want to do.
Yes.
VOXWAV.net. That's a new signal that we're being able to promote. Mm-hmm. So it's like playing chess. We have to stay 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 moves ahead.
Right.
So while we're building an eLife Media brand, it's time to launch the next signal so that when this one either reaches its capacity or it has to go into a different war zone,
There you go.
we now have another signal that we can roll as well. Mm-hmm. And then we also have to start collaborating more and more with other signals of like interest in mind, like my man WBGR Lionel Green, WBGR Online, connect with folks like that, start sharing content and be able to create our own pages and websites that's just for that content. You mentioned something, and when I wrote my first book many years ago now, I guess 13, 14 years ago, I talked about the internet as being something that potentially was going to be the most significant player in the independence and economic sovereignty of African descendants in America.
Yes.
That it was going to give us an opportunity to put our information out the way that we want. Mm-hmm. And it was also going to give us a chance to connect like minds.
There you go.
Like they talk about in the movie Some of All Fears. You know, it's not the ideology, it's being able to connect to other people with that ideology in different places, and then create a synergistic upswell, upswell of activity that can be empowering.
No doubt.
And then when they come to march on us and they come to shoot at us, you know, now we have enough flanks that all we have to do is, all right, throw this over here. All right, I'm going to be down for a minute. Y'all got it.
Right.
You know, he's going to be, you can't possibly keep shooting all those different elements down if those elements are in different places and working from different platforms, similar to what you're doing right now. And as you mentioned to me off camera, as an example, you were in Minnesota when the whole verdict for Philando Castile went down.
Yes.
But you said there was something else going on that was just as significant, and I want you all to share, if you're on Facebook Live, share this with everybody. If you're on elifemedia.net, share this with everybody. I'm going to go back and somehow enhance the significance of what you're about to tell us.
Okay.
Because it messed up my head. What happened? What happened, brother?
Well, I mean, it's amazing kind of where we are as a people right now, and it really links into everything that we're talking about in terms of ownership, occupying land, and being affirmed by our skills, gifts, and talents. So when a lot of those things are missing, unfortunately, I think where we are now, and then in addition to that, when you deal with broken families produce broken communities, right? It's almost like we're in a death cult worship place right now. You understand? It seems that when a young brother or sister dies in an unfortunate death at the hands of the police or at the hands of other folks, you know. But let's take the police in this matter. There seems to be a rush from the community to hop on the scene, jump on the blood, and magnify the tragedy of death.
Almost sensationalizing it.
Yes.
Gotcha.
almost worshiping it to some extent.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know,
Really?
yeah, I mean, like a shrine or something, worshiping the
Gotcha.
You understand?
Okay.
Now, I don't know what y'all think of D.C., you know what I'm saying? And, you know, since we're connecting
Well, the
cities.
great part about it is we have no homogeneous way of thinking.
I know. Yep. But let me just ask you this. Most of those things that end up happening, the people that jump on the scene and usually express concern around that tragic event in death, if that young brother and young sister was alive and they came to that group of people or what have you, and they said, hey, you know what, I'm having some issues, you know what I'm saying, at the restaurant. We have this independent black media platform, and we're just trying to raise some money. You know, do you think you could come by our meeting, our community meeting, because we're asking the community to chip in $5 a piece because we're trying to build this independent platform so we can be a better service to the community? How many of those people that respond in death show up in life?
Historically, very few.
Right. So what does that mean about our value system where we are right now?
Understood. So now, part of what my challenge is and others like me is to keep pushing this thing so that it becomes part of our value system. So as an example, what I saw was I put a call out like that before. Brother came in and he said, here's $140.
Yes, sir.
Brother came in and said, here's $125. Would you want to exchange? Nothing.
Right.
Brother came in, pulled up. He said, man, God sent me in here to do this.
There you go.
And gave us $50.
There you go.
A sister came in and she said, look, I want to sow some seeds. Here's $2. And then by the same token, I had the opportunity to do that with other black businesses. Even if I wasn't buying what they were selling, I shook their hand, gave them a couple of dollars and said, let me sow some seeds. So if 100,000 black people this weekend sold $2 in the hands of a black business and didn't ask for anything in exchange, that's $600,000 we just moved into our revenue consciousness.
You know, I try to match my words with my walk.
Understood.
So I'm sowing in $5 as we speak.
Right now.
You know what I'm saying? Because I appreciate
Right now.
what this is. So, you know, that's important that, right, our words match our walk.
Exactly.
So, and that's where we are as a people. And when our words don't necessarily line up with our walk, then that's when we have problems.
That's
so
when we have
back
the
to
disconnect.
exercising our
Sovereignty.
freedom.
Okay.
Right? So in Minneapolis, what happened, which is the brother city to St. Paul. So we had this huge international event that moved against, again, questioning the citizenship of black folks in America. You know what I'm saying? Because there's, as I've said around that, the jury is still out on that, if we're really citizens of this country or not. Because obviously, there are injustices that are applied to us that are not applied to other groups, and that's deep-rooted in history and the foundations of this country and et cetera. But in that particular unfortunate death of Brother Castillo, mind you, and this is another tidbit that a lot of people don't know about, and I'm going to share this with the audience, is that Philando Castillo is buried in the same cemetery in St. Louis, Missouri as Dred Scott. Citizenship. So that's no, I don't think in the spirit.
It's not an accident.
That's not an accident. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So we saw a lot of people jump up, you know, in regards to the insult and the death and inhumanity of how that went down. In his quote unquote constitutional rights first, but his human rights as well. At the same time this was going down in St. Paul, in Minneapolis, they had a huge erected what was called an artistic piece of a lynching hanging gallows. So if you take the size of this, where we are now, from the left side of this building to right here, and maybe about 5 stories high, from the front to the back, was this huge erected monument as a public.
That was a construction piece.
They called it an art piece.
That didn't happen in 15 minutes of art expression.
No, this
Nothing of that
was a
size.
constructed piece. I mean, we're talking about cement, steel, and wood grounded in the foundation of a in the Minneapolis Park and Recreation land, which was also shared by a institution called the Walker Arts Center. Gotcha. So anyway, this is what happened. Now, the artist dedicated this particular piece, and this was a kind of like a white liberal artist that was commissioned to do something to invoke kind of the history around public lynchings and hangings in America. What happened was that you had 8 to 10 Native American brothers and sisters that showed up immediately on the scene when it was fully erected and questioned the appropriate symbolism or the inappropriate symbolism that it stood for in their connection to that history.
Gotcha.
In 1836, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you had the largest mass public hanging in America, which took place in a city named Mankato, Minnesota, where 38 plus 2 Native Americans were lynched and hung publicly. But also, we as black folks know that lynching and public hanging is all connected to us in every sense of the word. And it was amazing that we had this particular thing that happened in Minneapolis at the same time of the Philando Castile verdict go down. And you know what happened? None of the black folks in the city of Minneapolis showed up to speak publicly around anything around this particular symbolism in this city, where black folks are running for mayor, they're on the school board, they're on the city council, they're in all different levels of leadership, you know what I'm saying? And none of us showed up to speak around those issues. Now, there's been a lot of concerns about, nooses being hung at the African American History Museum in D.C., correct?
Right.
Just imagine what that represented in symbolism in that particular city. So that kind of goes to show you kind of where we are as a people and why we need to build on institutions like this. Because it's very important. When we don't exercise our freedom and we don't have ownership in our communities, then we're bought and sold and owned by other things. And we can't even tell our story like the way we need to tell it.
Understood. So, Brother Crowder, as you know, we getting ready to roll up into the next hour and getting ready for Chop It Up. And you're more than welcome to stay tuned in. And if we have room, you can sit in the studio on the couches and enjoy what's coming up next. This will be replayed and it will create some additional stimulation. Mm-hmm. What I implore you to do for me is to establish, if you haven't, your Skype account so that we then can, online, wherever you are, connect with you by laptop, by computer, and let's further this discussion, not just for discussing, but also for if this is what happened, what should happen now, what should happen next.
Yeah, and continue the dialogue and connection to each other. So as your platform is here and serving the people, let me also connect your audience with our platform, which is Freedom Radio and AND TV.com. Freedom Radio and TV.com. So we're connected. And so, again, I definitely salute independent black media, everything what's happening in this this beautiful location of black power, black economics, and communication. So salute to you and everybody here.
Much appreciated, man, and thank you again for symbolism and the actual sustenance of our movement. Brother laid $5 on the table and said, here's my seed sold into you.
Yeah, next time I come, I'm going to lay more.
God bless, brother.
The outlaw is moving from the law.